Peace. Power.
This is the Dope Ones podcast. The Dope Ones. The Dope Ones. This is the Dope Ones podcast. The Dope Ones. The Dope Ones.
Peace, power. What's good? You are now tapped in to the DopeOnes podcast, a part of the Be Heard podcast platform. I am Thomas Dade, and we back on the red couch, coming to you straight from Sacramento, California. You can follow me at Thomas Dade. You can follow the brand at DopeOnes Official, or you can shop with us, www.theDopeOnes.com. We just dropped our new Coming to America line. It's doing really well. Got a lot of great feedback. Right before that, we just dropped the Richard Pryor collection. Really excited about that. I appreciate everyone who shopped with us for Black Friday. Truly appreciate it. And we just thank you for everyone's continued support. Just want to shout out, all my Be Heard podcasts, the podcast with Damian Barling, J Street Vibes, Deuce and Mo, Sean and Vaughn, Watching the Tape, Snack Time with Mac and Ash. Who am I forgetting? Bill Blaq, and of course the Dope Ones. Check everybody out. Search Be Heard on all platforms, all podcast platforms. Check us out, man. We got some great stuff, man. Looking forward to 2021. And hit us up on YouTube, man. Follow the YouTube page. We're streaming. The DopeOnes podcast streams, and we're on YouTube. Just go to www.thedopeonespodcast.com, and it'll take you right to our YouTube page. Subscribe, comment, let us know what you like. Let us know what you want to see. I got a lot of dope guests lined up for 2021 already. Try to squeeze them into 2020. Just didn't work, but I don't want to rush the process. But yeah, no, I appreciate everyone's, continued support. You guys are motivating me to keep going with this. So yeah, got a lot in store. But tonight I have a really, really special guest. This is somebody who I've admired for a long time. Very close friend of mine. He is a fine artist who hails from the Washington, D.C. area. He is a native of Washington, D.C. He is an abstract painter. He's an alumni of the Duke Ellington School of the Arts, whose famous alumni include Dave Chappelle, Samira Wiley from Orange is the New Black, and drawing a blank. But it's a incredible, one of the most prestigious high schools in the country. A lot of noteworthy creatives came from Duke Ellington School of the Arts, and my guest tonight is no exception. He is an exception. He's an exceptional artist, and I'm just really, really happy to be able to speak to him tonight. He goes by the name the Blaq Picasso, but he's my brother Thomas Dade on the DopeOnes podcast. Tom, what's good, brother?
Hey, man, what's happening?
How's everything, man?
Everything is everything, man. Everything is good.
Great to see you, brother.
Hey, you too, man.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you joining me, man.
Oh, yeah, it's my pleasure, man. My pleasure. I'm humbled.
So yeah, no, thank you, man. Thank you for coming on, man. For real. I wanted to ask you first and foremost. I know it's the cliche opener, man, but tell us about how you got started on your path to becoming a fine artist. You are an abstract artist out of the Washington, D.C. area. But tell us a little bit about where you got your start and when you decided to take art serious as a profession, because I'm always interested to know how artists, because we met with a lot of roadblocks, and a lot of at least in my experience, my creativity wasn't taken seriously as far as a career. It was like a hobby. My mother nurtured my artistic abilities, but everyone else looked at it like, oh, that's just a hobby. What are you really gonna do? You know what I mean? So I'm interested to hear what your process and what your journey was.
Well, man, that's just exactly what it was. It was a journey.
Mm-hmm.
But really, when I really began to see art seriously, actually was at Duke Ellington School of the Arts.
Mm-hmm.
Because I got sort of a second lease on a young life, escaping those 80s in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I was given the chance to go to Ellington, and being around a lot of other artists really opened up my mind and my heart to receive art as a whole and as something serious. Now, I've always been artistic, if you will. I hate to use that word, but ever since I was maybe 3 years old, man. My grandmother used to sit me on the floor with paper and I just draw all day.
Mm-hmm.
But trying to run in the streets in DC, trying to be hip, you know what I mean? Doing a little graffiti,
right,
and things like that. But always doing art. But once I got to Ellington, it opened up. That's where I met a couple mentors.
Mm-hmm.
I met a guy named John Dreyfus, who was an architect. Every day after school in Ellington, I walked down to Prospect Street, which is a couple of blocks from Ellington, and I would help him with sculpture.
Okay.
It's in wax, and later on, we would do it'd be poured into bronze to do public sculpture. So I understood the business part of it very early, and I was in awe. I just wanted to be around him all the time. As the years went on working with him, he introduced me to Sam Gilliam. And once I met Sam, it was all over. I saw, Black man, someone like myself, who was a phenomenal artist, who was a master at what he did. He did something no one else did. He's known for the drape paintings,
Mm-hmm.
And so it was like I was hanging around Bill Cosby, man. He had 3 daughters, and they were all very successful. His wife was successful, and it was nothing I've ever seen before in my life. So once I started working with him, seeing how he do commissions and things like that, I began to realize that I could take this thing a little bit more serious. I remember we used to sit every day. We'd go down to Ben's Chili Bowl, the original Ben's Chili Bowl on U Street. I'd go down and get a couple of half smokes. It'd be lunchtime, and one day I just decided to ask him, man. I was around this color all the time, man, all this paint.
Mm-hmm.
I was more of a realist, if you will. I would draw what I see, that's all I knew to do. And then coming from John Dreyfus, he was more of an academic sense of architecture, more structured. He always drilled me that way, looking at the history of art in a sense, but I didn't realize I could be free until I met Sam. I asked him, I said, hey, man, well, when can I be an abstract artist? When can I paint like this?
Mm-hmm.
He was like, well, whenever you're ready. And it was just like that, man. And I just began to paint the way that I felt. And it wasn't easy, though. I mean, that was like 1993, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So from there, I went to art school, I went to Kansas City. And when I left Sam that summer, I went to Kansas City. I opened up a textbook in my foundation year, my first year at Kansas City Art Institute in Kansas City, Missouri. And I opened up a textbook, and I'm in my foundations class, and I'm looking around at all the other students, and I'm looking back at the book. It's like, man, I'm actually studying what I just came from.
Right.
So I had all this education, man, all these ideas, all this wealth of information, this passion, and I was in art school, and I didn't feel right, man. I went through art school. I went through a couple years, but I wanted to go back.
Yeah.
Went back and I worked with Sam, and I worked on commissions with him. I just continued to learn that way what art was. That was my education. Granted, he really wanted me to go back to school, but I just wanted to do it my way.
Yeah, I hear you.
My way it's a longer way, but it's my way. Yeah.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, I feel like when you can say you did things your way, as a creative person especially, it's more gratifying, because no one can define your path the way you can.
It is, man. It's like jazz. I'm very fond of jazz. One of my favorite jazz albums is Kind of Blue, and Miles Davis, John Coltrane, the Lonelists. And they just did something right off the break, something very beautiful. And I think the way I approached art was that way. It's like I had to do it my way, and I had to improvise as it went along, And then, like you said earlier in the beginning, it was a journey. It continues to be a journey.
Yeah,
To be a journey.
Yeah.
But it's a beautiful journey. I'm blessed. It's like a silver lining with this with COVID. It's actually been one of my best years doing art, as far as sharing with other people and other people purchasing it and living with it in their homes. It's been a good year, ironically.
Yeah, same with me, brother. Same with me. The irony of 2020, with so many people are struggling. I was blessed to have a great year. And I was going to ask you that, how this past year has affected your art and your creative process and your ability to share, your art with people, because I know you do shows and, you have functions and different things where people can see your art and you can speak to them about it. This year kind of, it cut all of that out, everything was, eliminated as far as person to person. But that's beautiful that, this has been your most successful year. That's great.
Yeah, man. And I'm praying that this is the best is yet to come.
Yes.
But it's just like how I approach this business of art. As far as improvising, it's like you never give up. Like, I think you got that on one of your gear, some of your gear.
Keep going.
Keep going, man. That's the key, man. I think as an artist, if anything you have a passion for, anything you love to do, as long as you stick with it, keep going, man, it's going to manifest itself. And I like to think of myself as a living testament of that. Because I definitely, I've never let it go, man. I never let it go. I recently ran into an old friend, man, from decades. And I did a logo for him some time ago. And he sent it to me the other day, a hand-drawn logo. And I was like, wow, man, you still have this, man? He said, yeah, man. He said, you don't even realize, man, I prayed to see you again, so we could work together again, man. I was like, man, I've lost so many things along the way, man. Without getting into a lot of details, man, Donnie, when I drove that bike into Fast Signs DC, man, I was, that was coming through. I was coming through something, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you.
And when I first met you guys, man, and all that creativity there, man, I was so blessed to be around you, Manny. You know what I mean?
Shout out to Manny
from Ellington, Barchay.
Yeah.
D. Man, that's part of the journey, man. And that's like that's one part. And man, sometimes I wake up, I be like, how many times did I live?
Right.
You know
right.
What I mean?
Absolutely.
You can't believe some of the things you come through. Get to the other side.
Yeah, no, when we met, I remember immediately connecting with you because you did fine art. My best friend, Jamal Clark, visualist, he's a fine artist as well. And when you told me about, your background, I was really intrigued by it. And I remember you telling me about, I don't know if it was Sam or your other mentor, but doing the textured paintings. I remember you showed me the texture. So Sam does that. He did the it wasn't sandpaper. What was the medium you showed me? Because it was like,
it's like well, he raked through the paint.
Yeah, he raked through it, exactly.
Yeah, he raked through the paint where it had grooves in it. Yeah,
exactly. I thought that was so
like
dope.
Between painting and sculpture.
And then he does the hanging drapes with the different colors. And he's actually making a if I'm not mistaken, like a big resurgence as far as interest in his work.
Right, exactly.
That's amazing.
He decided to do things his way too,
Yeah.
He wasn't a big fan of the galleries and things like that, although he was very well represented. He wanted to sell his work and expose his work the way he wanted to. He was a pioneer in that way. He wanted to take total ownership of what he did the way he does it.
Yeah.
And sometimes, it's a little harder, if you will, or you got to push against the grain a little bit more,
Absolutely.
And he's proven himself. To be sustainable in that way, to stand firm and tall.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing. Yeah, at his age too, he's in his 80s, right?
Right. Yeah, he's probably late 80s. Yeah.
Late 80s, and he's still working. He's still creating. He's still creating pieces. That's amazing. Yeah, and it's just incredible, like you said, to have had that hands-on, education and tutelage from him. That's something that's just second to none. That's an education unlike any other. Even though Duke Ellington School of the Arts is a prestigious school, Dave Chappelle. I was trying to think who else went there. Johnny Gill. Who else? It's a lot of people. I couldn't think of anybody rather, because I was doing the intro for you before you came on, and I was trying to think of people who went to Duke Ellington other than Dave Chappelle. You know what I'm saying? Taraji P. Henson went there. That's right. Okay.
Yeah, quite a few people.
Yeah. That must have been incredible. How or should I say, where were you in relation to when Dave went to school there? How many years apart were you guys?
I think about a year, 2 years maybe. I came in an interesting part. I was transferred from Maryland schools. I was in talented and gifted classes. But when I came to DC, they tried to put me back a year. But my first year at Ellington, I was voted best first year, the outstanding artist the first year. And I think once they realized I got into my literature class, reading Wuthering Heights and Invisible Man, they said, wait a minute, this guy got a little bit more on him. So I skipped my 11th year. They said, okay.
Nice.
And so I had a very unique situation where, like a lot of my friends on social media, they cross the years, because I was in there with some one class, and then I graduated with another.
Oh wow!
So I have a dynamic of friends and within Ellington. So it was very special, man. And because they skipped me like that, I did something very unique. When I graduated, I did not go directly away to school. I went back to Ellington. I worked during the day, I worked during the evening, and I went to Ellington during the day. And that was unheard of. But the faculty, my teachers, they knew, my art teacher specifically, they knew how much I loved art. And I made a commitment and a sacrifice. And I didn't go to school that year because I felt like I was missing something. I wanted to learn a little bit more academically from Ellington, because I was so excited to be there and I felt cheated. Being skipped. So I went back and
that's dope.
And that's how I got my scholarship to go to Kansas City.
That's dope. That's dope.
Because I went back, and then I was admitted into Kansas City in the top 10% of of the entering class. Yeah, it was a culture shock.
I bet, man. Now that's dope, man. It's a testament to, you know, how gifted you've been, like, since then, you know what I mean? And it's a great segue into my next question, because your work's incredible, Thomas. Like, you know, I honestly, you know, when we met, what was that, around 2008, 2009? I don't remember seeing your work. I don't remember seeing, you know, you might have showed me some little things, or, you know, a couple pieces here and there, but man, since then, your body of work has just, it's completely taken off. And what I love about it is, even though it's abstract, you know, artists usually have sort of a signature style, if you will. You know what I'm saying? Your art, it knows no bounds. Like, you go from black and white to, you know, just really just left to center, abstract, and then you'll bring it back. And, you know, I love the variation. I love the, you know, how vibrant it all is, even though a lot of it is really different. Just what I've seen, just what you post on, like, social media and in different, you know, articles that I've seen of yours. But I'm really curious to know, what are some of your inspirations, and, you know, what is your creative process? Because to have so many different styles, like, you must pull from a lot of different source material. So I'm always interested to know what inspires artists to create, you know, pieces like yours.
That's a great question, man. About a couple years ago, man, one thing that got me excited was Swiss Beats.
Okay.
Article, because, you know, he's a big art collector.
Art,
you know?
yeah, he's an art guy.
And I read an article, and he said something profound that I just won't ever forget, man. And it was like, you know, artists are the new hip hop artists, you know. And I love music, and so music is everything, man. I mean, that's
Absolutely
one of my biggest inspirations is the diaspora of music. How vast it is. Jazz, Afro, Cuban, whatever, man. I'll listen to whatever.
Yeah.
I remember when someone saying there's only two types of music: good music and bad music. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
right.
Good music can be classical, it can be rock. I just love music. But yeah,
likewise.
He said that artists are the new hip hop artists, and he made it hip, made it current. I looked around, a lot of people were doing art. But music, I pulled a lot from music. I love movies.
Yeah.
In a sense, good music. I love good writing. I love good stories. My imagination, I've always had a great imagination. So I pull from everything, man. I pull from the books I've read, books I read, magazines, fashion in my home is big. You know, the travels I've been, you know, and really the city, man, the grit and survival of the city, man. You know, my mom is one of my biggest inspirations, because when I was a kid, man, she used to sit and draw all the time. She would just be on the phone and she'd be drawing, and by the time she finished, she'd have something beautiful, you know. Things like that, man. It's just life, man.
Yeah.
Because I feel as long as you're living, and you can feel the heartbeat of life, man. You can feel the pulse. You gotta create, you know. If you're a creator, you have to create. You know, like yourself, man. You know, I see you pull from a lot of different things, man, and whatever's happening, you tap into it. And that's just what it is, man. Politically, you know, the movements, and you do it responsibly, you know what I mean? You do it like how I like to do it, whereas you walk slowly in it. You're not really aggressive with it, but it comes through and it makes a point, you know what I mean? But you slow walk it so you don't miss much, you know what I mean? You got your finger on the pulse. And that's what it's all about, man. If you like, it's like sometimes you have to be a good listener, because you can hear things, you can learn something. You don't always have to talk. You can listen, and with the same way as you listen, you can walk slow. And if you walk slow, you can smell the roses, you can you can see things. You can see things clearer.
Absolutely.
I used to do a lot of ripping and running.
Yeah.
Where I live at now, it's a little different.
Yeah. You're in
so,
Hagerstown, right? Maryland.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a post-Civil War town, man.
Yeah.
It's a little different. It's weird. I had some ladies tell me, man, you should really be pulling from this, because I was born over by Frederick Douglass House. And I'm over here by John Brown.
Okay. Wow. So so you came like full circle.
Yeah. Still going around.
Yeah. That's dope, man. And thank you, brother, for the compliments, man. It's so crazy because
most definitely, Donnie.
Most definitely. Washington D.C. is has a special place in my heart. I was born in D.C. I was born in Providence Hospital, right? And then my people are from New York, but we ended up going down south. But when I came back to D.C., it was like a rebirth for me. I had no direction. I didn't know what I wanted to do. And then I just, working at Fast Signs, meeting, my family, my Fast Signs family, as I affectionately call y'all. At that time, 2008, 2009, I really got inspired. And I really got inspired by the city. And then Obama being elected. It was just a culmination of a lot of things. And you just touched on it, how the city inspires your art, just the grit and, the ripping and running, but being an observer of it too. I found myself being because Rhode Island Avenue was my whole world for a period of time. I didn't leave that block that often. I didn't have a car, I run around on a train or whatever, but I would just be there. Sometimes I would just sit outside and just observe and just kind of internalize these things that they came out in various ways through my art. So when you say the city had a profound impact on your art, I can definitely relate, because it did the same for me. I owe Washington D.C. so much in terms of my creativity. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man, you were fortunate, man. What is that? What, Huggy Low Down, man? You got the
man.
See,
shout out to Huggy.
Works.
Yeah, man. I was really blessed, man. I was really blessed to just encounter really, great people while I was there. You know what I'm saying? So let me ask you this, Thomas. You mentioned it earlier. You spoke about Swiss Beats, who's been a big advocate for Black art. And I feel like Black art is making I don't want to say a resurgence, because it never really went anywhere. But I will say there's more interest in Black artists. I can remember being down in Miami and Art Basel in Miami,
right,
and hearing about a lot of different artists. My mom's a big Derek Forjor fan. I don't know if you've ever heard of him. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right. Beyonce and Jay-Z purchased a couple pieces from him. And I believe he had work hanging in Miami during Art Basel. Kehinde Wiley, he did Obama's portrait. Amy Cheryl, she did Michelle Obama's portrait. And I read, or I heard rather, in an interview you did, what's my man's name? Help me with this, Thomas. Kerry James Marshall.
Oh yes,
Yeah. And Diddy purchased some pieces from him, right? Absolutely. So I find that that juxtaposed with Basquiat, for example, I think it was 2017, 2016, something like that. He had a piece that went for 110 million, something, right. some record-setting amount that one of his pieces sold for. But the fact that in U.S. museums today in 2020, in major U.S. art museums, the artists are still 85% white and male. You know what I mean? What do you feel like needs to happen in order for Black artists to get, for lack of a better term, their due? Because I feel like there have been so many great Black artists, over the years, but I just feel like Black art isn't represented the way it should be amongst these big, these big art museums, you know? What do you think needs to happen? Like, you know, and talk about the importance of Black artists.
Yes, a lot has been happening. A lot has changed. A lot of good things have happened. I think Amy Sherrill just recently sold a piece at auction. We broke a few records at the Phillips.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think what needs to happen is something we probably can't really control. It's almost like this pandemic. You know, it's like survival of the fittest.
Yeah.
They're not going to have a choice but to accept us because we're going to be one of the only ones standing.
Absolutely.
Producing art. We are survivors, speaking in terms of Black folk. You know what I mean? We have a soul unlike no other. Not to be biased, I'm not a racist or anything like that, but we went through so much, man. And then to still be standing and producing art. Someone like Swiss Beats, man, you get together with someone like the money that Diddy have or something like that, you know, hypothetically, open up our own museum.
Absolutely.
I believe we're breaking barriers. I believe people like Kerry James Marshall, you know, Amy Sherrill, they may be curators in the sense, you know, we need more Black curators. We need to say, hey, this needs to go in here, you know, because the way we're getting in there is just, we're standing firm, we're standing tall, and we keep producing good art. We have no choice but to notice us, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's uncontrollable. It's an undeniable force, you know. What we have to do is, like you have the slogan on your gear, we got to keep going, you know.
Absolutely.
We keep doing art because at the end of the day, it ain't really about the museums, you know.
Right.
Well, we can't even get into the museums now.
Right.
So we find ways, you know what I'm saying? What D Nice found a way to spin them records during this pandemic. You know what I'm saying?
Salute D Nice for sure.
You know,
yeah,
we
man.
Find a way to do our art. You know what I mean? We're gonna find a way. It's nice to be in the museums, a climate control situation, clean. The art looks different. You know, keep it clean, keep it fresh. You know, don't let nobody touch it. To preserve it. We've already really been there. You know, like Jamal, your brother Jamal, man, he dives deep into the Egyptian art.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like Africa, Northern Africa, you know what I mean? We have already been there. They are all in the museums in Britain, London, you know?
Yeah.
Our art is already there, you know what I mean? They just catching up right now. They saying, you know, we doing what we want to do, how we want to do it, and they looking at it like, wow, that is dope. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Let me cop that.
Yeah.
You know? So we just have to keep going, man. We just keep doing it. You know, it'd be nice to open up some of our, you know, our own museum. You know what I mean? But I think the main thing we have to keep going, keep producing art.
Definitely.
It's undeniable.
No, it is. You're absolutely right, and you're right too. That, you know, it is already there, and we are, you know, seeing just I think, I don't know, I want to call it like a new renaissance almost. I've been, you know, in these different cities. Now I live in Sacramento. Before that, I was in South Florida. I feel like when I was in DC, you know, the art scene in DC is always just, you know, it's electric, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm seeing these movements that are, you know, led by Black artists, you know, more or less. And even though I would love to see some Blaq Picasso work in the MoMA or, you know, the Smithsonian, I would love even more to see, you know, your own, you know, Thomas Dade museum, you know what I'm saying? So it's like you said earlier, man, it's like you had to find your own path and find your own way, you know, and not necessarily go the beaten path to do things. So I agree with you fully. I think, you know, that should be the next step. I guess my whole thing is just Black art as it, you know, pertains to just art as a whole, American art, you know, like so many other things, you know, we're underrepresented, you know what I'm saying? I feel like, but there's no denying it. There's no denying how, much of a force we have been and will continue to be. And, again, Swiss Beats just infusing like hip hop with fine art. I think, the possibilities are endless. And I want to start doing more. I gotta get with you. I need some tips as far as what to do. Like this Malcolm piece behind me. I don't know if you can see it. I did this in art school, man, maybe 15 years ago. It's a painting. This is a reprint of a painting, but this is that I did. I did this in Malcolm with gouache. Jamal was with me when I did it. Thank you. I did it with gouache back then. I didn't know what I was doing. I just knew I wanted to do a dope piece with Malcolm. Took me a couple tries, but I finished with that. And the original is actually hanging in my art teacher's classroom right now. He wouldn't give it back to me. He liked it so much.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, man. But I haven't really gotten into fine art the way I really want to. And I think
I remember Bruce Lee picture you was doing at one point.
Yeah. I did that Bruce Lee piece, but that was I don't know. It was kind of like a photocopy kind of technique where I took a cutout and then painted over it. But I want to do stuff like yours, man. Your stuff is so inspiring because it seems so organic, It seems so boundless, you know what I mean? And I tend to try to stay in sort of because I deal with photo manipulation a lot. Like that's where a lot of my graphic art stems from. But I want to do just more organic pieces, man. And I can't, speak on it enough, man.
Let little Donnie get in there. You got to get a canvas and let him
Absolutely.
Start it out.
Absolutely. No, my kids, all three of them.
Route that you never even seen before.
You're right. No, you're absolutely right, man.
That mind.
Yes, sir. No, all three of my kids are super creative. They love to just sit and draw, and yeah, man. So I'm definitely gonna utilize their young creative minds to help inspire me. Definitely, man. Definitely. So
lessons keep coming, man.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely, Tom. So let me ask you this, Thomas. How do you feel? Just given the uncertainty of COVID, we spoke on it earlier, and just the inability to kind of touch the people the way you may have, before. How do you feel about like these virtual galleries? Like people are doing virtual galleries now and they're showing their artwork virtually. How do you feel? Have you had any experience with that, or has anyone approached you with that?
I had a potential client, the one that liked the painting I had, and I worked with two dynamic women, a group called Blaq Art Today, and we hooked up a Zoom situation, and I showed some art.
Okay.
Took it outside my studio, It's interesting. I think we have to do what we have to do. I think it can work with the right setup. For me, it's going to take a couple tries to get it perfect.
Yeah.
But I'm open to it. You know what I mean? Just before this happened, I was supposed to have a show in June, but because of COVID, it didn't happen. But like I said, other things happen.
Yeah.
But we have to do what we have to do. It's the way of the world.
Absolutely. Sign of the times.
The only thing about it is, I think nothing is like, for my art, I show a lot on social media, but until you actually see it in person, it's totally different.
Exactly.
I love texture. I do things different. I mean, everything is done with my hands, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So done with your hands the way that I do it, it has to be seen with the eyes, you know what I mean? You have to be in the presence of it. I mean, eventually, if you buy it online, you're going to see it. Art is about sharing, so people can just be in the atmosphere of it. I think that's the only thing, that'll be missing from that.
Yeah.
But as far as get it shown, you have to do what you have to do to get it out there. But I just think seeing it in person can never be replaced.
I agree. That's why I'm mad I haven't seen any of your pieces in person, man. I gotta come out, man.
Yeah, I would love that, man. I love for people to see my work, man.
Yeah, man.
I had a one man show a couple years ago, the first one I ever had, man. It's just the most amazing thing to have people out. They look at you like, wow, you did all of this? It's just such a satisfying thing, man. It's a beautiful thing, man. Just strangers come up, walk from off the street, talk to you, man. There's nothing like it in the world, man.
Yeah.
That's what I miss. I miss the museums, I must say, man. This pandemic, get out of here, man.
Right.
You know,
Yeah, I'm over it, man.
Yeah, man, most definitely.
Yeah.
Most definitely. But
Nah,
it's
I'm
good,
sure.
man, this thing, man, this virtual thing, to be able to have this conversation. So you take the good with the bad, you know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
Social media, you take the good with the bad. Things like this, being able to talk to you and share stories, man. I mean, this is just going forward, you know?
Yeah,
It's
100%. That's why I started this, because I felt like I had so many interesting people to share with, and whose stories I wanted to share with other people. You know, I've been wanting you on this thing since I started. You were one of the first people I had in mind to be on here, because your story is incredible and your art is even more incredible, man. And you know, I'm just blessed. I'm blessed to have you on, brother. I'm not gonna. Oh yeah, for sure, man. I'm not gonna keep you on too much longer, Thomas. But I wanted to ask you, man, before we get out of here, if you could give advice to a young Thomas Dade, maybe, you know, pre Duke Ellington or even post, just, you know, while you just figuring out, you know, what you wanted to do, what would be a key piece of advice you would give yourself or a young artist today?
You have to be yourself. You know, be true to yourself. You know, don't worry about what everybody else is doing. You know, sometimes people are gonna laugh at you because you stay in the house, or you may read books, or you may draw all day, or whatever you do. We all are born with a passion. People are gonna laugh at you, but just be true to yourself, because one day you're gonna be in style, you know, because you're gonna be authentic.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? If you stay true to yourself, be authentic, you're unique. We all are blessed with a gift and a talent. And as long as we continue to be true to ourselves, as long as we can throughout our life, it will manifest itself. Be it cooking, music, writing, sports, whatever it is, whatever your passion is, sometimes you don't know right away. But just do what you like. Do what you like.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to do what you like.
Mm-hmm.
Just be you. Whatever that is, man. And you will be successful because you're going to be you.
I agree with that.
Listen to your elders, you know?
Yeah.
Because they're wise, and the sooner you listen to them and you take heed to what they're saying, the better off you're going to be. You don't have to repeat things in your life.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Walk slowly and listen. Be a good listener. Walk slow, be a good listener, and be true to yourself. You won't go wrong in this life. You won't go wrong in this life.
Yes,
I
sir.
believe that, man. Because I realized that's what I've been doing.
Mm-hmm.
I've been laughed at, man. Certain stuff I want to wear or whatever have you. Or the way I do what I do, you know what I mean? But eventually people come back around. It's just like a lot of hipsters, hip hop artists, you know. They used to be broke, but now everybody want to be the friend or whatever, you know what I mean?
Right.
They stayed in that basement, they made the records, you know.
Right.
The beats, you know what I mean? They stuck to it. And now they're in style. So there's this guy named Kimmy Casanova or something. I was listening to one song, this new cat from Mississippi, and he was like, you know, you got to do your thing until your thing is the thing. You You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
So many words. You know what I mean? You just gotta do you. You know?
Yep.
So yeah, just be authentic.
Yeah, no, and that's great advice, because I feel like so many people are just following the trends. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
it's real easy to fall in line with what's going on,
Right.
as opposed to just being authentic. And I'm absolutely an advocate for that. I feel like that's a testament to me being where I'm at now. It's just,
Most definitely.
being true to myself, because I was up in that studio apartment, man, hours, days on end, you know what I mean? Just in front of my computer, or just working out different things, making beats. I was making music back then. I made a mixtape back then.
Exactly.
Yeah, man.
Right.
So
You honed in on everything,
yeah,
on all your gifts, man. And that's why God multiplied them. And that's why you are where you are. Beautiful family, doing what you love to do, because you
Thank you,
did what
brother.
you had to do.
Yeah,
The music carried you through, you know what I mean? Man,
definitely.
your music was beautiful. Yeah, I mean, the way that you blend things together, you know what I mean?
I
So
appreciate it, man.
that was your soundtrack, you know what I mean?
Yes,
So
I say that all the time. I say that. That was an
exactly.
art project. It was my audio art project. I say that all the time. That was a
Yeah.
soundtrack to my life back then, man. Yeah,
Right
man.
on.
Good times, man. Well, Thomas, I truly, truly, truly appreciate you sharing your story with me this evening, my brother. Your art is incomparable. I want to see it go to new heights and new plateaus in 2021 and beyond. I already know it will. Hopefully I'll be out there. I'll make it back east, man, to come link with you and connect and see your art in person, man. I want to purchase a couple pieces for the crib. You know what I'm saying? Let the people know where they can follow you and get in touch with you.
Well, I'm on social media, Instagram, Tom Dade, Facebook. You're interested in any of my work, you can go through Blaq Art Today. I have some pieces there. Blaq Art Today, they represent me well. You can hit me up on you can email me too, tedwindade@gmail.com. I got to get you to give me a website.
Oh yeah, no, I've been wanting to for a minute, so we'll definitely speak about that, man. I would love to create your website for you, brother. Absolutely. But yeah, man, thank you again, Thomas. Truly appreciate you, my brother. All love, my bro. Truly appreciate you, man. Peace.